continue.
Alrighty, so just a quick update for what's going on. If you did not notice, all events on the GFBF website has been canceled till all the way up to December. Just give you a heads up for everything. So almost every event so far that I've seen has been canceled or postponed. The Rose Parade, if you did not notice, that's already been
that's been canceled.
Because it'll take time for them to build the floats. So that's something for you guys to do. On the brighter note, Descanso Bonsai Society has their 2020 virtual show on their website on descanso-bonsai.com. So that's if you want to go visit them, they have it on their website. And also San Diego, our sister club in our San Diego Bonsai Club, they have their spring show also online. And that's at their website, san-diego-bonsai-club.com, if you want to look at their spring show. And they got separated in categories for all you guys. I had a chance to contact Arboretum earlier this week, and they are right now, they're on hold indefinitely until further notice. So that, just to give you an idea, our face-to-face meeting right now, my guess probably will resume. If not, I think the soonest might be like December at this point. Just to kind of gives everybody some hope there. Yeah. But I asked them if there any way we can use their indoor facilities. Again, they said the Arboretum's no longer open their indoor facilities until further notice. So that is a no. I thought we can maybe use Aris Hall because no one's there, but they have no way to clean it. And then basically all doors and windows need to be open, and that still does not guarantee the ventilation of that air. So that for them, they said the answer is no also on that one. So those are suggestions from last meeting.
When are you going to push ahead with our show plan? Are you going to wait until like October, November to make a decision, or?
That's probably something for the leadership team. I'm just the messenger. So
okay.
we'll probably get together again and try to decide what's going on. But yeah, I think a virtual show may most likely be what's going to happen. Especially, I'm waiting for the second wave to hit. If you didn't know, schools, I think every school in Southern Cal right now is going distant learning for the fall. So my guess is up to December, we're going to do distant learning. So I think at this point, maybe it's start preparing for a virtual show.
Hey, Tom.
Yes. Greg?
Can you remind everybody to mute if they're talking to reduce background noise? Thanks.
Okay, no problem. If you guys want to hit mute, Jonathan, you can hit mute for everybody. That's the other way of doing it. But if you can hit mute if you're not speaking, and then when you're ready to speak, please hit your unmute. Bob Pressler. If you're on Facebook, I posted Bob Pressler is doing a public bonsai introduction, I think you should call it, on the Los Angeles Library, public library. It is totally free. It'll be online on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you guys want, if you know someone that's interested in bonsai and wants to be, into that introduction, or you want to see Bob online, that's another way of doing it. So. It's on the Baikoen Facebook page, and I'll put it on the a web page finally. And then next month, that will be the 20th, August 20th, we're having a regular club meeting online on Zoom again. It'll be a short, starting at 7:30 as requested by our club members. And Lindsay Shiba will be doing something. I don't know what Lindsay will be doing, finding a front, doing pest control, running away. I don't know what Lindsay's going to do. So Lindsay will have control of next month. So that's something to look forward to. And the following month in September will again be a round robin. So everybody gets a chance to ask a question, show off a tree. This would be a great time to start prepping. As Michael says, if you have a show tree for February, because that's about 6 months mark, great time to start thinking of if you want to select a new pot, your accent plant, things in that nature, looking for a stand. So this is probably the 6 month time period to kind of look forward to preparing for your tree and your show display. And then before I go on, we have some new members. I think it's Mitch. Mitch is new. Want to introduce yourself, Mitch? Or you're on mute, Mitch. Bottom left-hand corner, there's a mute button. Just unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm here. I'm new. I've been spending all this time watching all the wonderful posts you guys have had up on YouTube and staying up till way too late at night watching everything. So, you know, these guys are pushing ahead and pushing through all this. I really want to come check this out and see what this is about. I really learned a lot and had a great experience. I'm only in my second year of doing bonsai, and I love it. And I just I'm just so impressed with all of you for everything you're doing online and this whole virtual thing. I just really wanted to be part of it. Glad to be here.
And Mitch is from Brea, is that correct, Paul? Mitch?
Yep, I'm from Brea.
So, so just to give you an idea, everybody, I think because we're getting more and more club members are in the outer LA region or the Orange County region. I might suggest to as a club is we'll post one laptop and we'll actually do a Zoom. So people that cannot commute in that day or that meeting time, we can actually have Zoom meetings if we resume back to face-to-face. So it's another method for people to connect if they can't physically get to the meeting. It's just another way for everybody to enjoy the meeting while in distant learning in that sense. So that's what I'm going to suggest to the leadership team a little further on, but that's kind of discussion that I think must happen probably just to keep the club really moving forward in this case. Paul, you want to talk about yourself? You're semi-new.
Hi, I'm Paul. I went to the show, I think, in the winter, and then I went to one meeting before everything closed down. So I'm new to bonsai, and I think the club's been great. I've really enjoyed the videos, so thank you guys.
And then one last one's Nathan Anderson.
Yeah, what's up?
Describe yourself a little bit.
Just anything else in particular? Or?
No.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm 30, have 3 kids. Got into bonsai a couple years ago, and I don't know, just loving it. Finally joined a club rather than learning on the internet.
And Nathan, you had the is that the Bougainvillea in the last meeting with
Not bogey. It was a pyracantha.
Pyracantha, yes.
And a pomegranate.
Yes, and that was your first and that was your first meeting face to face, correct?
Yep. First and last.
First and last. All righty. All righty. So let me get this meeting started. We have 2 questions as emails, so I'll let them go first. And if anybody else after that can raise their hand, I can point you out, and then you can start describing your issue, your concern, or something you want to
Lindsay, it's Debbie.
Oh my goodness, really? Where's your cookies?
I got my sign from last week.
Hi, Debbie. Happy birthday.
Happy Debbie.
It is Debbie's birthday. I think she's 21 this year. She's finally legal to drink. That's why she's at the beach. Oh, 22. I apologize.
She's 22.
So our first question comes from Elaine. Elaine, do you want to restate your question? I think some people weren't on earlier.
Okay.
Did she freeze?
I have several olives, but there's powdery stuff all over the limbs, and if Lindsay wants what he recommended that I do for it.
Oh, you want me to say something?
Yeah. you're the one that made the recommendation, so I think it'd be nice to tell everybody what.
It sounds like it's like calcium deposit from the hard water. And if that's what it is, you know, it does flake off, it's dry, and it flakes off easily. But you can wipe it off with a Q-tip and a vinegar solution. Oh, our battery's running low.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And then just 1/3 vinegar and 2/3 water.
Why do you think it wasn't powder mildew, Lindsay?
You wanted to do it the other way, Lindsay. You wanted to do 2/3 vinegar and 1/3 water.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got a little sign. Our battery is getting low. Yeah, 2/3 vinegar and 1/3 water solution, and then you could use it's kind of tedious, but you could use a Q-tip and then kind of go through and wipe it off, and it should come right off. Dissolves the calcium.
Should I rinse off the vinegar off the tree when I get done?
Yeah, you can. I would say do the solution on the dry leaves so it soaks in real good, and then later you could just rinse it off.
Okay.
It shouldn't hurt it though. But.
You may have to relocate.
Oh, you got it first. Okay. I gotta relocate.
Why don't you go here?
Okay.
All righty, and then our next person that submitted a question was Jonathan. Jonathan, when you want to describe your comment, I think it was more of a comment than a question.
It was actually a question. So I generally know insecticides for like spider mites as it relates to conifers, but is there a situation where there's fungal issues here in Southern California? What type of fungicide do people use for conifers? And, you know, how often do you use that for a preventative case? Or, you know, when you have some sort of fungal issue, like how do you use the sprays? Or how often do you use the sprays when it's infected? And then kind of like the reverse, I know that like I have some fungal issues at times for my deciduous stuff. And so do people use insecticides for their deciduous? Is there ever a time here in SoCal that people use that? And, you know, how often do you use that preventatively? And also, you know, when you're infected, like how often do you do the spray?
Okay. Should I be answering this? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I got a little list here.
Lindsay's doing a bug show tonight, man.
Oh, are you okay?
I'm going to need the picture pretty soon.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, so there's a few things that I wanted to cover, and it may cover some of the questions you had, Jonathan. But so maybe I should show these pictures. I have some pictures that I pulled up on the internet of these different insects that sometimes they're not maybe even as obvious as the ones in these pictures. You have to kind of hunt for them. So, but it's good to know what to look for.
Ready?
So we're gonna show you some pictures here.
So Jonathan, should we go full screen with what Lindsay's going to show?
No, I think I've got it.
Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay. So this first one, okay, this first one here is a pine needle scale. And you have to really look. It's on, usually they're on one side of the needles, and it's just a sucking insect that gets on there. And a lot of times when you remove that scale, even physically, there's like this brown spot there. But if you leave it on too long, then the branches and the tips start to die first. Okay. The next,
what do you treat it with?
Okay, so most of these sucking insects on conifers are treatable by a summer oil spray. Now, There's different kind of oils. Like there's I think Volk oil. I don't know if Volk oil is still available.
It is.
That's kind of a heavy oil that you could use through the cooler months of the year, because if you use it during the summer, it could burn. Also, what's that, neem oil? Neem
Yes.
oil can also burn in the summertime. So you want to get horticultural oil and one that says summer rate on there. And you could use that through the warm season and cool season. You don't have to get both kinds of oil.
So question right there, Lindsay. Does it depend on the health of the tree before you apply it? Or do you just jump right in, or do you modify the application based on
I would
health?
jump right in and do the strongest rate that you can that's recommended for that time of year. Because the longer you wait, the longer those sucking insects start zapping the juice out of the plant, and it'll make it weaker and weaker. Okay. The second one is called pine bark or pine adelgid, ADELGID, adelgid. And you might, now this one here really shows this cottony look, but sometimes it's just barely around the pine needle follicles, just barely, and mostly on the little stem there. And you might even think, oh, it's just some calcium deposit. But if you rub it off, it'll be squishy underneath. And it's also a sucking insect. So you use the same kind of, same oil. Okay, next one.
Lindsay, a question. These are sucking insects. What about a systemic?
Okay, well, you can, I'm glad you brought that, because you can use them in conjunction. If it's really bad, spray it. And then there are some like houseplant systemics that are granular. You apply to the soil. Go ahead and use that too. It's okay.
Yeah, I think there's one, I forget who made it. It's a fertilizer and a systemic also.
Okay, yeah, do it without this fertilizer. Get
Okay.
one that's just the systemic.
Okay.
So is that the Breyer? Is that the one you use? Bayer. I think Bayer. Yeah, Bayer.
Oh, yeah, Bayer has one, but a lot of times they have the fertilizer with it.
That's what I've used.
Yeah, Bayer brand. So there's if you look in the houseplant section at a good nursery, they should have an insecticide that's systemic. You sprinkle it on the soil and water it in.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, and this one here is really pretty prevalent on a lot of, this is a juniper scale. And sometimes your tree will starting to look kind of pale, almost like spider mites, but it'll be like chunks of stems and leaves will be dying out. These little tiny scale get sometimes between the sheets. You know how they come out of these little sheets, and sometimes they're in plain sight. But we do the same thing. We use that, and so when you spray it once, and then do it again in 2 weeks, and a third time in 2 weeks.
And that's really important to go back because the eggs and so forth, right?
Right. Yeah, they reproduce, and you want to. And the scale, what it does is the insecticide oil. What it does is it coats the bug, so it smothers them actually. So it does a good job, and that oil too is good for almost all kind of sucking insects like aphids and mealy bugs, that kind of thing, cottony cushiony scale they call it, all kind of sucking insects. So it's a good one to have in your arsenal.
Would you need to rotate the type of oil you use? Because some bugs will get resistant to it, or you recommend not rotating?
Oh, I don't think they really get resistant to oil.
Okay.
Even spider mites.
Okay.
It's not like it's a poison that
Insecticide.
gets them internally. It's a smothering thing, so you shouldn't have to.
And you also don't want to wet the foliage after you've applied that for several days. Isn't that correct?
Well, as long as it's on there a good maybe 2 days without spraying it off, it's okay. Yeah, but you want to apply it. Apply it when the soil is really hydrated, the plant's really hydrated, and then put it on, and try not to spray the foliage. Maybe in a couple of days. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention was there's different kind of fungal diseases. Let me back up. There's fungal diseases on conifers and also on deciduous trees or leafy trees. And I don't really have problems with fungal diseases on my conifers because they're out in full sun. And I think that's a big thing, that if they're in too much shade, you tend to get these diseases a lot more with shade, moisture, and less air circulation. So if you could keep them in a good sunny place and keep them watered well enough, then you're going to have a healthier plant. Okay. The fungal disease on pine trees, the last one that I saw available, people were using, was called Daconil. And it was like a vegetable fungicide, so it was pretty safe. And you'd spray it, and I didn't have the problems. I can't tell you firsthand how often they use that, but I would think 2 or 3 sprays. But in addition to putting it in a better air circulation area. Okay. The last thing I kind of wanted to cover was the fungal diseases on deciduous trees. In Japan, they do this pretty regularly. When the tree is dormant, they'll spray dormant spray with that horticultural oil or some kind of oil. And what it does is that the fungicide, and it's either copper, and the better one is the lime sulfur that we use for
dead wood.
Dead wood preservation. That's the better one because it gets more types of fungus diseases. So if you could get lime sulfur, I think the rate would be in the range of 3 to 4 teaspoons. I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 to 4 teaspoons per gallon with the oil, whatever that rate is. Mix it together and spray it on together.
Is that okay to spray when they're midsummer, when there are leaves on them?
No. This is dormant spray.
Yeah.
Dormant only. Now the
So are you
problem
talking about like right after the fall, after the leaves fall, or are you waiting for the buds to swell?
After
as
the
it's
leaf
getting
drop.
closer to spring.
You
Right
could do
after
one.
the leaf drop.
Yeah, ideally the one would be right after the leaves all drop, and then maybe a few weeks before the leaves bud open. That would be great.
Twice.
Yeah,
so
twice.
during. Okay.
And it helps if it's really cold out.
Well, then the leaves drop. Yeah, that's good.
Well, no, I mean, but even if the temperatures drop down into the low 40s at night, then that's for some reason it makes it more effective.
Oh, really? Oh, I don't know. I didn't know that. And so the fungal disease, usually that sulfur just sort of burns it out. It doesn't hurt the plant, but it kind of burns it out. And the oil will, in effect, also help it to stick better. But it also gets any maybe sucking insects that maybe have overwintered on the tree. So it does a couple of the insecticide and fungicide combination.
Particularly in the coarse bark trees, it's really good to get soak down in the crevices and all of that.
Yeah, it'll go right down in there. The problem with the lime sulfur is that you need to protect the roots from getting drenched with that, because it's deadly on the roots of our trees. So some people cover it, and then spray it. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll tilt the tree so it's on its side, and the pot's sort of raised up, and so when I spray it, it kind of drips off the tree off the sides, and then you, right after you're done, let it stand it up, and then really rinse the soil with water, just plain water.
How about like deciduous evergreen trees? Would this work principally the same or no?
We're talking about like oak trees and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Oh, leafy evergreens?
Yeah, leafy broadleaf.
Yeah.
So,
okay, leafy, like say an oak tree or something like that?
yes, that was the question.
Okay, so yeah, there, like some oaks will get some leaf spots and some fungus diseases on there. What I would recommend doing is partially defoliating it so it has better air circulation, and then spray it with, well, if it's in the wintertime, you could spray it with a dormant spray. But I would recommend on leafy evergreens to use a copper spray instead of the sulfur spray. Sometimes the weather spikes up too high in the winter and it might burn it a little. So if you're doing leafy evergreens, I would do a copper spray with the oil.
Okay.
And then the last thing I just want to mention, I don't want to dominate the time, is that the fungus, there's sometimes on maple trees, if you prune it hard in the summertime and you don't shade it right away, it'll get sun scalding on the branches, And then later what happens is a secondary disease comes in. It's called some kind of different kinds of fungus will come in, and it'll attack that bark, and then it'll start dying back. You'll see dieback on the trunk, and even little dots, they're called conidia, the type of fungus spores or fruiting spores are called conidia, and it'll die back on the stems. So if that happens, then you want to use, I would say safely to use a copper spray, and even do a fairly strong application and brush it on those areas on the bark, and maybe repeat it in a month. Do it again.
Like a toothbrush?
Yeah, toothbrush would be good. Kind of dip it in there and then brush it on there, but mix it with some water. Maybe on a copper, you might go 5 tablespoons per gallon.
Okay.
And then brush it on there.
But no one ever deals with insects with deciduous? I personally haven't, but I was just curious to know.
Yeah, well, not usually. Sometimes you get, termites or something, but you get sucking insects or leafy insects too. Sucking insects, all kinds on leafy things. So you could just use the oil, summer oil.
Okay.
Is it okay to use malathion in the summertime?
Yeah, you can use malathion. Just do a lighter rate. I think the lighter rate is 2 teaspoons per gallon, where the heavier rate is 3 teaspoons per gallon. So summertime, do a lighter rate. You could do that, sure.
Lindsay, on my elms, I had a sucking insect that had a brown scab over the whole thing. Most of those I picked off. I was able to knock them off, but it had like a brown shell over it. Will your oils do anything to that?
Okay, elm trees, that reminds me, elm trees, when they get a scale on the branches and on the leaves, the one I'm kind of familiar with, it's actually black and white. It's two-tone like that, and it's really hard to get rid of. I've used oils and systemics, but they didn't work as well as it's called worm castings.
Okay, worm casting?
Yeah, if you could put like somehow a layer of worm casting, maybe 1.5 inches over the
My
soil
pot's
surface.
only an inch.
Right. So you have to kind of, bury it in a bigger pot, and then have that surface open, and then fill it with worm castings. There's a natural insecticide that's in that, and it
Really?
knocked those out, and I couldn't get it with the bug sprays. So
Now, that's the kind. This was a brown, chocolate brown coating over it, like a scab over the insect that was inside.
yeah, it'll work on other sucking insects. It works on whiteflies too. You have whiteflies.
Worm castings, great.
Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't believe it. They said that, but it does work.
All righty.
I have some. I will be using it.
Let's go down this list here. Michael Roberts, any comments? Nope, we're good?
I'm all good, Tom.
Okay, I'm going down the list here. Hallie and Alex, any comments, statements, something to show off? Okay. Big Joe?
Oh, that was great. Thank you.
Nick? You want to show off your tree, Nick? You're on mute. You're on mute. There you go.
Yeah, it took a second. I thought we were all bringing a tree.
What is it?
Chinese
I thought
elm.
we were all bringing a tree. I grew this from a root cutting. A little Chinese elm from root cutting. So like the original cut was right in here, and then I've just trained up the rest. So it's coming along pretty good. I brought it in because, it's nice and small to carry into the house, but I've really got into the little ones. It's really been nice. And I love the fact that elms, that you can grow from a root. So, there you go.
That's great.
I definitely had battles with
How long
scale
did
and
it
miter.
take? How long did it take to grow to that point from the cutting?
This is only, it's been pretty fast. Like, it's one thing I like about the little guys is it's like, this is maybe 2 or 3 years at tops.
Wow. That's an awesome little shogi, man.
It's a little guy, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I've been happy with it.
Awesome.
Nick, do you ever go down and visit Gary Ishii?
I haven't been there in a while, but yeah, I know down in Gardena, yeah.
Yeah. His dad and he grow a lot of little elms from cutting, and Catlin elms, a lot of them. And he's got some that are half the size of that are 50 years old.
Wow. I gotta go check those out.
Yeah, that's it. It's pretty cool. You'll like it.
Yeah. I can aspire to such things in another, 3 decades, but
That's really neat. And it's nice that it came along that fast. Another couple of years, that's going to be killer.
definitely. Thank you.
Well, fortunately, Nick, you have at least 50 more years to go. So.
Well, look, fingers crossed, knock on wood, and COVID.
All righty, Gio, you're up. Any, you want to share anything?
Yes, I muted myself. Hi guys, missed everybody. Back in the day shift, so now I could actually join you guys.
Thank you.
Michael, Jonas, you there? You asked me about this particular tree a lot, so brought it to show you. Bougainvillea. Got it a couple of years back. I think it's one of another bonsai shows. Somebody was selling it. I was hoping somebody would advise me. This little bad boy. It's gonna be, here's the front actually, so you guys could all see. A lot of deadwood here. I was hoping for advice. Definitely want more flowers, so how can I spoil this bad boy? That's what I want to show and ask about.
I'm sorry, I was hearing an echo, so Beautiful looking tree.
You said you had a question?
Yes.
I have some boogies.
How do I get more flowers out of this bud boy?
Full sun.
They like to be root bound a bit, and you kind of have to let them grow. If you cut them too much, you'll cut off anything that's going to flower. You hearing me okay? You know, when they're really active and they're happy, you know, during one of these warm months, and you're feeding it well and they're growing, I think the tricky part is, like, that looks like it's, I don't know when the last time you pruned it, but if you cut them a lot, you'll just cut off all the flowers, you know, like anything that would flower. So it's kind of this tricky balance of growth, but also obviously you want him to keep the shape. But yeah. When's the last time you repotted it?
Actually, 2 years ago, it was repotted. Now I just try to prune it, but directional pruning it. That's mostly all I do. I have it on top of another large mixing pot tray, so that way it tries to get the humidity higher. But I do get a couple flowers, about 7 or so. But you know, sometimes you see those pictures on Instagram or Facebook they're just full of flowers. And sometimes, like, well, should I try to get more acidic, more base? You know, what nutrients to feed, and hence the questioning.
What are you feeding it?
Honestly, it's the little pellets from Home Depot. That because it's slow release, it does well for me, and cottonseed meal. Just those two things combined, roughly.
Okay.
Hey Gus, you know you need to talk to Pedro Morales on Facebook. He actually mentions it pretty good, and he's really good with boogies. So go message him.
Dude, that guy in Florida too, Adam Levine. His blog is Ask Adam Why. He's a good resource for a lot of those tropicals, but especially he's got some good boogies. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
He's got some good posts too on like care guidelines.
Hey Gus, you know what's worked? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. You know what worked for me? I went to a Pedro Morales demo, and he actually says he actually doesn't water his for weeks at a time, but we can't do that. So what I've done on mine, I'll water it one day, and then the next day I'll just mist the top soil. So every other day you're not getting fully watered, and that's really helped my flowers a lot. So that works for me.
My particular conditions locally are actually kind of harsh because I live right down El Cajon in Colton, so I get the heat and I get a lot of the winds, and it's usually a lot of dry heat. But I'll try it.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of mine is well, both they're in very porous, a lot of forgetting the ingredient, but the soil mix is very heavy on porous. It's not a heavy mix, so it doesn't hold water. So I have to water. They do stay drier, is what I'm trying to say, because they dry out so fast. You know, I don't think I'm quite as bad as the heavy desert that you're in, but it's you know, we have humidity in the 20% here and 90+ degree weather, so it dry out quick.
Hey Gus, one thing we used to do at the nursery, you know, we had bougainvilleas out there and bush bougainvilleas and things, and we had to make them bloom, right? To sell. If they don't have flowers on it, they don't sell very well. I used that ammonium phosphate. It's an acid fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
And once it was kind of just starting to peak, and not quite finished, but it's peak blooming, then I'd put some fertilizer on there. It's a real acid. It's 1620. But anyway, I throw that on there, and it would bloom in about 3 weeks later. You get another flush of blooms. So an acid food that works real fast, and I think timing is important. But yeah, if it hasn't bloomed, then go ahead and feed it with that. But
What about pruning them? I have one that's really Shohin size, but I can't get it to bloom unless it gets these really long runners. And like the one I have now, I heavy.
Is it in the shade?
No, it's full sun.
It is full sun. Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't want to bloom unless it gets a 2-foot runner out of it. And it's only like that big.
What color is it?
It's that kind of like purplish pink.
Okay, because sometimes the purple one called Braziliensis takes longer for that flower stem to come out. And if it's Braziliensis, it tends to take longer to start blooming, but it will. But yeah, it's just that way.
Yeah.
So I went through my notes really quick from Pedro Morales talking about boogies, about his son wanted his bougainvillea to bloom during his wedding. They defoliated 3 weeks before his wedding, or 4 weeks? 4 weeks before his wedding, and then did a heavy fertilizer. So it kept the shape, and it spiked out the short bloom right out of that. So, but again, so go contact Pedro, but that's his local environment in San Juan. It might be different because it's high humidity over there. So I would contact him. I mean, he might be a better expert, but the problem is it's not our local conditions. So that's the only issue you can come with.
Here's when it was blooming. Here's a screenshot from my Instagram. This is as many flowers as I get as of current. Of course, the goal is to get more, right? But I get just about 15 or so flowers, but I don't know what the right amount to shoot for. I would say that the whole plant covered in the mini flowers, of course. So I'll reach out to him. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Ed, you're up. You had to unmute yourself. Bottom left-hand corner. There you go.
Yeah, this is, I've had this, Ron's trying to put some light on it. I've had this about 3 years. The first year didn't do much. The second year, I cut it back pretty strongly. It didn't look good. I was worried that it wouldn't make it, but it came back pretty strong this year. I'm not quite sure what to do with it next. I think it's ready to be pruned again, but I'm not sure.
It looks like a Hinoki cypress. Is that correct?
That's right. Sorry. Yeah. My thought is just to cut it back, just to pinch it back. And try to get it to compress somewhat.
Anybody have a Hinoki cypress for advice? Because I don't have one anymore. Mine's burnt.
Well, my advice is sell it while it's green.
I have a few Hinoki cypress, and they have leaves that come out in like sheets like this, right? Layers like little pads. And what I do is when I bring them, I'll have this picture in my mind that I want it maybe dome shaped or whatever shape I want it. And I'll start at the bottom of that branch or the tree and then kind of work my way up to the top and sort of create that rounded shape, whatever you want to do. But what I do is I'll lift up a sheath and then, I don't know how to explain it, but I lift up a sheath of foliage and then I'll cut it sort of rounded because it grows kind of rounded, that sheath, and I'll trim it back in a rounded fashion so that when it goes back down, it looks natural, but maybe shorter than the leaves below it.
So yeah, so it's like you say, it's kind of a sheath, but it's also, I don't know, there's like 4 or 5 on this one little branch. So you would just sort of trim all of them into
yeah. So there's like this little sheath of foliage, right. You can lift it up, and if you pull it up like this, I kind of, and you don't want to just cut across the foliage like a juniper because it'll burn, right? It'll turn brown. So what you have to do is you have to cut between. Actually, you're cutting the stem, not the foliage.
Oh, okay.
And you make sort of a rounded look to that, and then when it comes back down again, it looks natural.
Got it.
Does that make
Okay.
sense? I don't know if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does.
Okay.
It does.
Try
That
that.
does.
When is the appropriate time to prune a hinoki?
When you get a chance. And when it needs it.
I mean, there's no time. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're doing winter, summer, spring, or fall.
Because wintertime, you could do it to thin it out so it gets more light in there. You want to do it like a pine tree. But summertime, it starts growing out, so you don't want it to get all covered up underneath. So you do it through the year.
Yeah, well, great. That's very helpful. Thank you.
All righty. Shirley, you're next.
Is that Shirley Kwan? I think she said something earlier about how she can't get her mic to work, so she's going to have to chat.
Oh.
Maybe I'm crazy. You can scroll up in the chat and check. I can't remember.
I'm looking through the chat.
Yeah, she did say that her microphone was
Yeah,
acting
that's correct. At 7:40. Shirley, you can call me if you want to call me.
Looks like Ken has a painting in back of him.
While Shirley's calling me, let's go to Mitch. You have anything, Mitch? You're on mute.
I do have a question. I have two pomegranates. I have a white pomegranate and just a regular pomegranate, and they're not flowering at all. So they're both pretty healthy trees. I actually got an air layer off of one tree earlier in the spring, so I've now got two white pomegranates, a small one that's doing really well, but the large one, no flowers, and the other one, no flowers. They've tried a little bit of the fruit, but you don't want to keep that on there because it'll kill the branches. So is there anything you can do to encourage flowering on pomegranate?
Hey, Ken, you want to answer that one? Because you have a couple pomegranates on show last time. You're on mute, Ken. Hey, Shirley.
Okay, I have a non-bonsai question. I have a couple of really large plumeria trees, and one of them in particular keeps getting this dust all over the leaves. And everybody else looks really healthy and they're flowering, but this one tree has this kind of mildewy kind of dust that keeps showing up on it. Whenever I spray, like all season horticultural spray on them, it really wants to burn the plant. And so I would hate to, I'm not losing any leaves, but it certainly doesn't look healthy.
Do the leaves drop?
No, they don't.
And it's just on the top surface?
Well, they're getting gradually worse. I mean, so I looked underneath today on them, and obviously whatever it is beginning to affect the bottom. But it always shows up at first as being this mildewy sort of dust on the top of the leaves. I can put it out and grab it, bring it in.
Yeah, maybe you could take some close-up pictures. And can you text me some pictures?
Sure.
My number's 909.
Go ahead.
909-806.
All right.
0937.
0937.
It's just on that one variety?
It's the only, right, I've got about seven in the backyard of all different sizes. They're all about the same variety. The flowers are all the same colors. But this one particular plant, it seems to be particularly susceptible to this. The other ones are deep green and doing pretty healthy. In fact, too healthy in some cases. They're outgrowing the stock.
Oh, sure. We'll take a look at that.
Okay, I'll send you a photo.
Okay.
Thanks.
While I have Shirley on the phone right here, if you look at the link, Shirley is talking about if everybody wants to look on the chat, if you want to look at the chat, but I'm going to just recite what she said over here. She recommends 2 books. One is Bonsai Heresy, and the other one's called The Little Book of Bonsai. She's holding those books up. I think the Bonsai Heresy came out, I think, a month ago, and I think Jonas's book came also about a month ago. Is that correct? The Little Book of Bonsai? Okay, Little Book. Okay, so the current book she's holding up, The Bonsai Heresy, just came out early this year. That's from Michael Hededorn from Portland, I remember. And then the Little Book of Bonsai is from Jonas Dupuy in Northern California. So I've read actually the Little Book of Bonsai. It's a quick read, but it's really informative. I have not seen the Bonsai Heresy one yet. That's next on my list to read when I get a chance. Yeah.
I was gonna.
Oh, Shirley says it's highly recommends. Thanks, Shirley. Any other comments, anybody that read it?
I was gonna say, answer Rich's question about pomegranate. I thought somebody else was gonna jump in, but it's my understanding with pomegranate flowers, they only flower from like growth for like 2 years ago. So I think one of the challenges with them as bonsais, we're pruning and shaping, but we always are cutting off the branches where the flowers would actually come from. So like, let me try to be more clear. Like this year's growth wouldn't flower till next fall. If that makes sense. So like your new growth this year won't actually flower. It's the previous year's growth. So you have to be pretty selective, I think, with your pruning if you're really trying to get the flowers to come. Does that make sense? At least that's my understanding. I have one tiny pomegranate that I've been growing from seed, and it has yet to flower, but it's mainly my own fault because I prune it all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so every other expected to flower.
Yeah, and I have 2. I have a twisted pomegranate. Actually, Tom, it's the one I got from you. And then I have a smaller one, just a straight pomegranate. I really don't even know what it is. But 2 years ago, I pruned both. And now this year, I hit it harder with 1010 fertilizer. And both of them, I've got more flowers than I can even count.
I just saw you pop in. And I didn't pay
Hey, Joe, you got to mute. Thanks. So anyways, yeah, I agree with Nick there. It's like when you prune it, those branches, they don't get anything. It actually took me 2 years to actually get flowers back. And now I actually have fruit. The twisted pomegranate's the first time I've gotten fruit off of it because I stopped cutting it back, but it's a big overgrown
Hey, Joe,
tree
step away.
now.
Joe, step outside, Joe. Big Joe, step outside.
So I don't know, Ken, if you had, I'm not an expert on pomegranates, but just my observation.
All righty. I think it's Ken. Ken's your turn. Anything you want to share? Your lovely work in the background.
Well, yeah, it's let's see, it's a fresh ink, fresh color. It's about what, close to 3.5 feet long, about 2 feet wide. Yeah, painted this 2 years ago.
A waterfall?
Yeah, there is a waterfall. Yeah, this one. This is a waterfall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the waterfall between the 2 mountains.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. I think we have to get a demo with Ken doing watercolor for us, I think, one day.
No problem.
Hey, there we go. I can film you. See, that could be your
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
See, it'll be much easier.
Yeah.
Mike Kelly, you're up, buddy. Nothing? You're on mute, Mike. Mike Kelly, you're on mute. I don't think you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I don't think so.
Where's Devaney when you need her? Oh, there she is. I was going to ask for Devaney for help. Devaney, help me. I can't talk. Devaney.
Let me try to help.
I can't find. Put your glasses on, Mike. There we go.
How about now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, I forgot what I had to say. Does anybody have any inline filters they use for their hose?
I do.
You do?
Is it for hard water? Is that what you're wanting it for?
Yeah, calcium. The calcium is clogging up my my sprayer.
Get a dram filter.
The what?
Get a dram filter, a dram inline
Dram?
filter. Dram, D-R-A. They're online. Yeah, D-R-A-M-M. You can go online. It's the same. They make valves. They make spray heads. They do all that stuff.
All right.
I have something called what is it called? Oh crap! It's an Easy Flow, which is like a siphon injector, and it essentially, and I fill it up with white vinegar, and it has like different dilution ratios. I can't remember what it is exactly, what the slow and fast settings are, and there's a couple in between. But I use that to drop my pH to like 6.5 or lower to water with, because otherwise I get the hard deposits as well. And so that's really helped.
Okay.
For me at least.
Thanks. All right, that's it, Tom. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Manuel, you're up, buddy. You're on mute. Michael's gonna curse here in a minute because he can't.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see this? It's a willow fig. I got this from the Silhouette Bonsai show this winter, and they're telling me that I can now repot this, right? During the summer. Can I do that? Even if it's this young? Yeah.
That was probably originally my plant, one of my starters.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad I'm asking you.
You can.
How old is this?
That is probably, it came from a plant that's probably 10 years old. It was a root cutting.
Oh.
So what you could do right now, this would be a perfect time. Usually subtropical plants, tropical plants like to repot anywhere from about late June, all the way through about August when it gets really hot and muggy. That's when they love to be pruned. But if you're gonna do if you're gonna prune the roots, you're gonna prune the top at the same time. Because whatever you cut from the bottom, they're going to draw from the top. So you need to cut the top also at the same time. So great time to wire and then shape it and then trim as much as you want and then do the same thing with the roots and then you'll be fine.
Okay. And should I start wiring these to make it spread out like that as I also repot it? Can I do it at the same time?
You can pretty much, those tropicals are pretty tough.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I love this plant. I thought I killed it because all the leaves fell off.
Around February, right?
Yeah. I'm going, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? And then it all came back in the spring.
Yeah, they're pretty tough.
Could you do a chop on that this time of year?
I'm sorry, Mitch, one more time?
Could you do a trunk chop on one of those this time of year?
You almost can do it any time. I usually do a trunk chop usually around May, so I can get a really strong growth right at the beginning of their growing season, which is around that humid time, right around this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Michael Jonas.
Can you hear me?
Yes, and you have video. We can see you now.
Well, I'm working off my iPhone. I gave up on the notebook. So if I can figure out how to turn the camera around, I want to show you the California Chokan that I've been working on. Let's see. I don't see, oh, there it is. Boom.
No.
There?
Yes.
Okay, so this is about 40 inches tall.
Wow.
Wow, beautiful.
And Morrow had styled it maybe a year or two ago. And I decided everything was growing upward. See the tips? The whole plant was growing upward, so it was really, really healthy. See these guys? So what I did was I wired the whole thing with copper. It's taken me days, and it's starting to really shape out beautifully. And the moss loves the sun. Some of the moss loves the sun. Some moss doesn't. So what I've done is I've created some nice pads. And of course, they cleaned all the foliage out inside. So it's 360 degrees of styling. Lots of television while I'm working in my workshop. And I'm getting just to the end where I've got a couple of more branches to put into place. Up in this general area, want to maybe bring this down, and at the end I'll have my lightning struck top, and the rest will grow beautifully. It's really healthy. I don't know if you can see it so much from the door with the windows behind, but it's been a real joy to work on, and you don't find Chokan Californias very often. And this one in particular has 3 lifelines. It has one on this side and one on this side that splits to 2. And that's unusual too.
That's a big tree. His hand was small compared to that trunk.
Oh yeah, it's big. It's 40 inches tall. It is. Here's my hand.
Wow.
It's not too bad when you got a cart and you have hydraulics, and you can actually move it over onto the pedestal and lower it down. But I'm very pleased with the way it's coming together. It's the most involved styling that I've done, and it'll be interesting when I send a picture to Morrow and see what he has to say.
Awesome. Paul, you're up, buddy.
Hey.
Oh, your video.
Hello?
There. Yes.
So I wanted to show this. There we go. It's a cedar elm, and I've been working hard to get it growing, and it finally did, but then something's eating the leaves. So all the new growth has these little bite marks in it. That's the worst spot. And I don't know exactly what to put on it to prevent it from getting eaten. I had the same, something in my vegetable garden was getting the same thing, and I couldn't find anything that worked.
There's like chew marks on it?
Yeah, and I don't see any bugs. So I'm wondering, is it like a lizard or something? Or what could it be? I don't know.
Is it over the whole tree?
No, just the new growth.
Well, just
Probably grasshopper.
Yeah, it's like flying insects of some kind, probably.
Yeah.
There's a really good product that you can use that when they eat the leaf, it eats them internally.
Oh wow.
Let me see if I can read the label for you.
Paul, I have the same issue. I have a prunus, and it's ate like all my leaves on one plant. So you're not the only one.
You could use, and this was pretty safe. You could use 7 powder and dust the whole tree.
7. Okay.
SEVIN, 7 powder, and just dust the whole tree. That'll keep them off for a while.
Okay.
Well, we get grasshoppers here every year. And when I start to see damage from the grasshoppers and spray this product, they eat it and then you find their skeletons laying around. And it's safe. It's a safe product. It's a what they call it, it's like a bacteria that eats them from the inside out.
You can eat already.
Yeah, it destroys their digestive system. Surgeonitis. I'm surprised you guys haven't heard. It's BT something. Here it is. It's Monterey Garden Insect Spray. Controls insects that'll eat your foliage. And let me see. I don't know if can you see it?
Yes. Okay, garden insect spray. Okay, cool.
And you can either get it at Home Depot or one of the plant places. It's perfectly safe, and they will feed on it, and it'll kill worms. It'll kill grasshoppers. There's let's see. My eyes are not that good for this close reading, but I have used it when I had a lot of problems with these grasshoppers that show up, and they went away. And my neighbor had found the skeletons of them lying on the ground because it goes into their intestinal system and they can't eat.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
John Kim, are you alive? You're there? You want your question, your comment, something to share? Your animal, your turtle?
I'm good.
All right. Greg, you went already, correct? Yeah. Greg, did you go yet? You're on mute.
Anybody have experience with figs, black figs? I've got a little one that I pulled. I've got a black fig in the yard, and I've had it in a pot for about 5 years, and it's teeny. But pruning them is a challenge. You know, they like to put out long growth. When you tend to cut it back, it's a 50-50 chance that it will ramify behind the cut versus kill the branch. But I'm trying to keep it really small. It's literally the trunk. It's very difficult. It's not a cut trunk. It's about 2 inches high. And I just kept the branches pruned early enough that I'd never had to do a trunk chop. So I just don't know if anybody has black fig experience.
Mas Ishi used to grow those.
Oh, really?
In Shohin size.
Yeah, this is even smaller than Shohin. I'm trying to keep it as small as I can.
So you might ask Gary Ishi.
Okay.
Son.
Okay. Yeah.
They're beautiful.
All right. Great. Awesome.
Nathan, you're up.
Hey, don't really have too much to add. Driving my kids home, but I would say the only thing I really had to add was I thought, to my understanding, previously we talked about pomegranates. I think it's the current year's growth where it flowers, but maybe I'm wrong about that. So just be careful of that if that's what it is instead of the second year's. I can't remember, but that's about all I have to add.
Awesome. Is that your baby in the background we hear?
Oh yeah, and Hamilton, if you can hear that as well.
Oh, no sleep, buddy. I think Jonathan can understand that concept.
Right.
Eunice. Is your mom there, Jonathan?
I think so.
Eunice. I'm not on mute, right? No, I'm not on mute. Eunice, are you there? Hello? She's working on a patient right now, pulling teeth.
I don't know if she had a question. I was talking to her about that yesterday.
All righty.
To think of a question if she had one or not.
I have one last one before we go to the raffle. So I'm already looking at accent plants. So this is actually a dwarf it's called Kozan. It is a very compact dwarf azalea. This is a Suzuki azalea. Give you an idea, that's my finger. They grow about maybe 5 to 6 centimeters in one season, and it's extremely compact. You literally, I saw the parent plant of this one by the Nuccios. And what this is you literally can step on it. That's how compact and tight this gets when it grows out. The trunk is about size of a thick pen. So my guess, I want to put this into a very shallow pot and make it like an accent pot because this would be kind of cool. The flowers are tiny too. The flowers are about the size of my thumb. So it gives you an idea of the rate. So this might be something for spring show to give you that color, that May, June time. So that's what I'm trying to experiment with. Nuccios has a bunch of these left, and this is a special variety. So it's not just Kozan, but it's a dwarf variety. It's sport of the parent. So if you guys are interested, he has a couple of these left, and you have to ask for it because it's in like the back of the shed area. So
what color are the flowers?
Flowers are a bright pink with I think it was like a light rose throat.
Cool.
All righty.
Can you put in the chat the name of it?
Yeah, sure. It's Kozan dwarf. And that's an azalea, Suzuki azalea. All righty. Any other questions for the group of the greater good of the group? Going once, going twice. Elaine,
I have no questions, but I would like to thank you and Shirley and Lindsay, but especially you for doing all your videotaping and Shirley for all of her emailing to us all.
Thank you, Shirley.
Informed of everything.
Yes. Thank
I
you,
wanna
guys.
thank you.
Thank you, Tom and Shirley.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, with that, for next, before I forget, for next month, will be Lindsay. You're on bat next month, so you figure out what you want to show off and do.
Okay.
He'll be the lead for that one, and then let's do the raffle. So tonight we have 3 raffles. Shirley has 2 items. I have 1 item. To come, you have to pick up your item. I'm not shipping these things. I'm sorry to tell you this. So you either come to my house, that's this pot. If you win this pot, you're coming to my house. And then if you win the items that Shirley have, I think it was a bunch of small plants on one of them and a big grape is the other one. So if you win those, you got to go pick them up personally. If you didn't know, I'm actually selling my house. So we're looking for a house now. So this is gonna be crazy. So I'll give you guys a roll. I put everybody in an app. You guys see that? You put your name on the wheel and you hit the wheel. I gotta see where the wheel is.
Wow.
Who's the winner? Who's the winner? Winner, chicken dinner. And winner is, come on, pop up the winner. Winner is, who's winner? Paul. You're the winner, buddy. So you get the pot, come by my house. I'll give you my
Okay,
address.
great. Thank you very much.
Let's see, let's remove Paul from the list. Shirley, you want to bring up the first plant? Will be the grape. What are you going to bring up first, the grape or the lovely? So I removed Paul from the wheel, so it'll be fair for everybody else. Ooh, what is it? Oh, look at the grape. Joe, you want to talk? This Joe donated the grape. Joe, you want to talk about your grape? You're on mute, buddy.
I got that from my buddy Charlie about 3 years ago, and it was in pretty bad shape. So it's starting to come along pretty good.
You know what type of grape it is?
I don't know the brand. It's a little grape.
Here we go. Let's see what the winner is. Drum roll. We're gonna drum roll. Everybody can do drum roll.
Greg.
Mitch.
Oh, really?
Mitch, you get a lovely plant. Was Mitch online? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Oh, he's online. All right, Mitch, go pick it up from Shirley. Shirley will give you your address directly.
Thank you.
I'm gonna remove Mitch. I'm gonna remove Mitch. All right, and last, I think it's a bunch of small Shinpaku, is that correct? Wow, someone's gonna be making a Psyche, I'll tell you that. Someone's gonna be making a Psyche with that one. Let me spin the wheel. Last roll for tonight. Last raffle for everybody.
It's all those together?
Yes.
Wow.
And the winner is Ron. Is Ron online? There you go, buddy. Go pick up from Shirley. You got a bunch of Psyches. All righty. So we'll continue the raffle every meeting we have. You just need to come pick them up from who has the owner. We have plenty of prizes to last us almost the entire year. There's a lot of gracious donations from everybody here and keep the club running. So for next month, don't forget, next month will be August. We're actually having a meeting on Zoom. We went a little over time today, but I think everybody enjoyed their time. I hope you did. And then I'll put this on YouTube later tonight if I get a chance. And then you guys, if people that missed the meeting can share the meeting. And then we'll see everybody next time. And then of course this Saturday is Ron Espiritu, his personal garden. The week after that will be Yamaguchi Nursery. So it gives you everybody some idea what's coming up the next couple Saturdays. Any questions, comments for the group? Last chance.
Everybody stay well.
Yes, we're back to shelter at home pretty much. So everybody kind of stay safe. All right, I'll see you guys later. See you guys. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.